Hello, Marion High School Symphonic Band, and all who are here to join you for this performance this evening. My name is Harrison J. Collins, and I am the composer of Unstoppable. So I've been composing for a little over 11 years. I began when I was 13 years old, and later this month I'll turn 25. And during that time, the vast majority of my work has been geared towards advanced high school groups, collegiate groups, and professional groups. As a general rule, I tend to write very difficult music, and I have wanted to write music that is geared towards younger musicians, but I haven't. It's an incredibly difficult task. It's like Liam Neeson in Taken. It requires a very specific set of skills. About this time last year, at an international music conference called the Midwest Clinic, a colleague and friend of mine, Michael Markowski, an incredible composer in his own right who has always been a huge inspiration to me, made a remark acknowledging that people around my situation, either pursuing their music degree or having just gotten a music degree, in my case, tend to be writing this very difficult music. And I said, well, I would love to write music for younger ensembles. And he said, well, what's stopping you? And I didn't have an answer for that. I had to think about this for weeks, and finally I realized that the answer to the question was that I was stopping myself. I was afraid of failure because it's so difficult, but that in and of itself is not a reason not to try. So with this realization in mind, I became determined to write something that would be more accessible to younger students who are still in the earlier phases of their musical growth, while still being just as exciting and engaging as the music that I have written previously. So in that spirit, this piece, Unstoppable, is my way of paying forward that sentiment. It is a message to each and every young person in our world that no matter the difficulties or adversities they face, they can achieve anything to which they set their mind. It simply requires, as I've learned from experience, the ability to step out of one's own way every once in a while. Oh, also, musically, this piece is super inspired by the music of Jonathan Colton. If you go listen to his album Artificial Heart, it's all over this piece. It's amazing. You're going to love it. Anyway, that's all. Thank you for being here. Marion Symphonic Band, thank you so much for performing this piece. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I hope you enjoy Unstoppable.
oh, it really doesn't. And I heard in my head, what I kind of thought it should be. And so that was just happening right around the same week that I had this conversation with Markowski, and I thought, well, what about the lighthouse? So tonight you're going to see actually the YouTube footage of the lighthouse while the band so beautifully plays the lighthouse. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Good evening, Marion High School. My name is Akash Mittal. I'm the composer of Salt March. Thank you so much for playing my work this evening. Salt March is a celebration of the march as nonviolent protest. It is named after Mohandas K. Gandhi's famous action, where he and thousands of people marched to the sea to create their own salt in protest of British colonial rule. The music features processional drumming from Indian outdoor drumming traditions that I experienced while living and studying music in Kolkata. And it also features Raga Aliya Balawal in some of the melodic sections, as well as melodies and variations inspired by Indian Sanskrit chanting. I hope you enjoy this work, and thank you so much for supporting my music.
Hi, my name is Michael Markowski, and I am the composer of the piece Desert Sage. As I understand it, you're going to be hearing the third movement of this four-movement piece, which is based off of really old American folk songs. And in particular, these are all cowboy folk songs, so songs that would have been sung on the Texas cattle drives in the late 1800s. This particular piece is probably the darkest of the four. The lyrics are, "Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie where the wild coyotes will howl over me. In a narrow grave just 6 by 3. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie." So not only are these movements sort of inspired by these old cowboy songs, but they're actually inspired even more so by really early recordings of these pieces. So I was able to find a couple of recordings from the 1930s and 1940s of this particular tune of some old singers singing these. And so they're sort of inspired. The music is sort of more inspired by the personalities of these folk singers than the songs themselves. I hope you enjoy sort of the haunting, ghostly chromaticism of this particular movement. Oh, bury me not. Thank you. Enjoy.
Oh, bury me not on a lone prairie where the wild coyotes will howl o'er me, in a narrow grave just 6 by 3. Oh, bury me not on a lone prairie.
Good evening. I'm William Carson, Director of Bands at Coe College, and I'm very pleased that tonight you'll hear my edition of Percy Granger's Spoon River performed by the Marion High School Wind Symphony. Percy Granger's Spoon River was originally a fiddle tune that he turned into a piano piece and an orchestral piece, and finally in 1933 into a band piece to be played by the Goldman Band of New York City at a Central Park performance that he was involved in. And after that performance, it was performed a few more times in California, in Michigan, and then gathered dust in the basement of his home in White Plains, New York, until sometime after his death in 1961, when it disappeared out of the Granger home and somehow, interestingly, made its way to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. In the 1990s, I was clearing out a filing cabinet in the basement here in Marquis Hall on the campus of Coe College and found these handwritten parts with Percy Granger's return address, his signature, and realized that I had something that might be of real value to band musicians. After years of research and travel, visiting the Granger home in White Plains, New York, the Granger Museum that he had built in Melbourne, Australia, I was able to authenticate the parts and be certain that it was the version that was played in 1933 in Central Park, and thought we had better get this published. With the help of my friend Al Naylor, musician known well here in the Cedar Rapids, Marion area, we entered it in the computer, got it published. It's now been performed by groups as prestigious as the United States Marine Band and the Dallas Wind Symphony. So we are very pleased that tonight the Marion High School Wind Symphony will perform Percy Granger's Spoon River.